Arkansas. Grateful for your time and attention, and we hope to serve you well. Earlier this week, the FDA issued a warning about the risks for false results and inappropriate interpretations from non-invasive prenatal screening tests. Now, according to the agency, these tests can lead to improper medical decisions, as the FDA has received reports that patients have had abortions based on results from these tests without understanding their limitations. And joining us now to discuss this is Mary Szoch, the director of the Center for Human Dignity at Family Research Council. Mary, good to see you today.
Thanks so much for having me again, Joseph.
Tell us a bit more about these tests and where this announcement came from.
Well, a few months ago, the New York Times published an expose on these genetic tests, and they revealed that about 85% of the time, the genetic testing that is so frequently offered and pushed on women who are at their OB appointment, that genetic testing is actually inaccurate about 85% of the time. And this was really shocking to people because they've been told by these genetic testing companies, this is highly accurate information. This will give you peace of mind. Well, what these tests do is they cause a lot of worry, but they have also led to a number of abortions. Of course, every single abortion is a tragedy. And in these cases, people who perhaps otherwise would not have considered abortion have done so because of the eugenicist mentality that has been pushed on them by the pro-abortion industry.
And that really is, the word you just used there is strong, eugenicist. And the idea of eugenics is a tragic one, but really the motive behind these tests in many cases is simply, does my baby have a problem? And the implied question is, if my baby has a problem, then maybe we don't want the baby. And that, of course, is exactly what eugenics is. Mary, how common are these tests?
They're very common. I am fortunate in that for my OB appointments, I went to a pro-life doctor who spoke about the false positive rate of these tests. But just about every woman who's going to an OB appointment receives information on these tests. I've had numerous friends talk about how highly recommended the tests are. They're seen as standard procedure. This is what you get when you go to your OB appointment. And even if you look at the FDA's report on this, they said, that the lack of knowledge about the false positive rate of these tests has led to people making inappropriate healthcare decisions. Well, what they're talking about is a decision to kill someone's child, and under the guise of this, formulating this to be an inappropriate healthcare decision is really just trying to steer away from what's actually happening here.
Now, my understanding of these tests is that they are intended to be screening devices and not necessarily diagnosis tools. And one of the challenges is that they're being treated as a diagnosis rather than a screening device. For parents who may get a positive test about something that concerns them or alarms them, is there a follow-up that can be done to find out if, in fact, there's actually something to be concerned about?
Well, there are follow-up tests that can be done. The thing with these tests is they're not as invasive as other testing that has been done in the past that is more definitive. But, in the FDA's report, one of the things they say is these tests screen for rare conditions like DeGeorge syndrome. And if a child has that can lead to, heart defects. It can lead to learning disabilities, difficulty feeding. Well, the FDA is essentially saying your child's future includes suffering. And what they don't say is that is true of every single child's future. We live in a fallen world. That's suffering is part of all of our lives. What they leave out, though, is that if your child does have one of these rare genetic disorders, if your child has physical or intellectual disabilities, there will also be moments of joy, and there will be great love. And I can say that as a sibling of a woman, a beautiful, wonderful woman who has both physical and intellectual disabilities. No genetic tests could tell the beauty and the joy and the love that she's brought to my family.
Now, Mary, it seems here this could be a light coming out of a dark place, because even the fact that we're raising the issue here, saying, well, we could make a mistake and abort a healthy baby, implies that aborting a healthy baby is a problem in some ways. And of course, we make the argument that aborting every baby is a problem. But is this an accidentally pro-life statement coming out of the Biden administration?
Well, I think, as you said, Joseph, aborting every child is a tragedy. The fact that they have more concern for the abortion of a healthy child than they do for the abortion of a child who may have a genetic disorder shows the eugenicist mentality that has permeated our society. But at the same time, if it leads to more parents questioning these genetic tests, if it leads to more parents taking the chance that the test could be wrong, if it leads to fewer abortions, it is a good thing. And the FDA
acknowledging that abortion can be bad is the start, I think. And Mary, sadly, we are out of time, so I've got to let you go. But thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Joseph.
Stay with us when we come